Before I go off on my little rant here, I have to show you my inventory first so people understand my argument for a second, because Bungie's bullshit over masterwork cores or enhancement cores is so fucking tone deaf and brain dead that even the YouTube order doesn't even know what the fuck they're talking about. Now, as you can see, I'm not hurting for cores overall. I'm always hovering right around 500. Sometimes I have a little more, sometimes I have a little less, and I think my lowest at any point since Forsaken launch was maybe around 200 after I started infusing everything. I dumped quite a bit of my inventory. I got rid of almost anything and everything from year one that won't be used anymore. You know, I had all this Iron Banner armor, I had all this raid armor, all masterwork by the way. I had all these guns that were masterworked, duplicates of guns that I like Sins of the Past rocket in each element, a Mananan in each element. Again, all of this shit was masterworked in no way, shape, or form. Am I hurting for masterwork cores? I have enough. I have played enough to accumulate a good portion and continue to play to acquire more and more cores. I've also had to cut down on some of the useless shit in my vault, so that way I just keep things that I only need. Obviously, I could probably delete exotics, but for whatever reason, I decided to keep those. You know, those are things I should be deleting because I can retrieve at any time. But either way, I try not to keep as much shit as I used to in Destiny 1. I try to hold on to items that could possibly get buffed down the road, you know, and turn into a pretty decent weapon in the game. But again, that would be another video for another day. Getting back to the point, Bungie's logic-defying explanation as to why they continue to ignore fans' complaints about Masterworks cores, it just doesn't make a lick of sense anymore. It's like they're trying to find ways of rationalizing a bad decision, and they just can't think of anything worth saying anymore. Now, here's the gist for basically people that know what the fuck is going on. Prior to Forsaken, Destiny added Masterwork cores to the game. It basically made your guns better. Since they fucked up the launch of Destiny 2, the motherfuckers were trying to find ways to improve that shitty 2 primary gun system. So they came up with Masterwork weapons. Use Masterwork cores to make your guns drop orbs on multi-kills. It's a fantastic idea, and it has worked for replay value. Basically making the guns that you like worth even using even more. Forsaken launches, and then Bungie loses their fucking minds. I don't know who the fuck donkey kicked them in their head if they let Luke Smith make decisions after that bearded meatball fucked up the launch of Destiny 2 or whatever, but instead of using cores to make weapons better, now it's used for infusion material. In order to power up, to do the most difficult activities, you need cores to infuse shitty gear into your better gear. Great. I got a 690 chest piece, except this chest piece has shitty rolls. I like my 650 chest piece that gives me all the perks that I want, but I don't have enough Masterwork cores to bump that shit up to a 650 chest piece. So I'm basically stuck with a shitty 690 chest piece. That's the position some players are being put in right now because they didn't endlessly grind the game. They played until they were content, but now they find themselves behind the 8 ball all the time because they need to use these fucking cores that were not meant for ranking up at all. They were not rolled out for your characters to reach max light. They were meant for upgrading your shit that you felt was worth using in the long term. Initially, Bungie tried to fix all of this by renaming Masterwork cores. Yeah, there's a brilliant fucking idea. Instead of Masterwork cores, we'll just call them Enhancement Cores. And instead of cancer, maybe I'll just fucking refer to it as Tiddlywinks. Instead of horse shit, maybe I'll refer to it as Unicorn Gold. Does that change what it is? No, of course not. Changing the name doesn't fix the problem. Fixing the problem fixes the problem. Bungie's refusal to just drop Masterworks cores is not bad enough. Their explanation makes shit even worse. I mean, just look at this bullshit from their website. The goal of the infusion system is to create an impactful feeling of progression when you increase the power of an item you enjoy using. First off, what the fuck is an impactful feeling? I mean, when I haven't taken a shit in over a day and I finally go, that's an impactful feeling. Progressing in a video game is what every fucking video game does. You progress, you rank up, you gain progress, you strengthen your character, improve your powers. This is part of any game. The infusion system isn't about feelings. It's literally players chasing an arbitrary number for the power cap. That's it. Nobody has feelings about ranking up other than when it's a slow, monotonous process and it pisses you off. So that leads to their next statement of absolute stupidity. An infusion system with no scarcity around the materials would diminish this impact. To that end, we tapped into a material with inherent scarceness, enhancement cores, to use as one of the keystone materials for this process. Here's a riddle that Bungie can't answer that shows how bullshit this statement really is. If enhancement cores never existed, what negative effect would that have on the game? No, really, what the fuck would happen? Players would use materials that they have in order to rank up? Guns would get bumped up easier? This is zero impact on the game. I repeat, zero fucking impact on the game if enhancement cores were removed from ranking up. We still need Glimmer. We still need shards and planet materials. But why the cores? There is no such fucking thing as an impactful feeling when ranking up. So this statement is basically their way of saying they want to time gate players from ranking up. The way they want you to play longer for useless shit is simply because they won't have access to those items in abundance. If you want cores, you're going to have to spend hours playing mindless shit like I had to do to collect the stockpile. And realistically, there aren't many people who are going to do that. You know, the players like me who knew to chase after these things, we have no issues with the enhancement cores. And essentially, there's no impact as to what we do with these cores. Those who play sparingly are the ones this is punishing. So in essence, there is no impact on the people who have played the absolute most in this game. But there is a completely negative impact on those who have not put in 30 hours a fucking week because they just can't save up enough cores to upgrade their shit. So essentially, players are being disadvantaged into using average weapons, average gear, against players who already have better weapons. It's an absolutely horrible cycle of the rich getting richer and the time-constrained players feeling like this game is a waste of time. Do you know what's an impactful feeling? Do you want to really know? Beating the raid for the first time. Landing 5 or 6 kills in the Crucible with 1 super. Beating every team in Trials of Osiris to go flawless. Or the greatest feeling that Destiny ever had, landing your first Gallahorn. How many of you guys remember your first time? No, I'm not talking about you virgins who lied about getting laid. But I'm talking about your Gallahorn. You remember that shit? The very first time you got it? Whether it was dropping out of a Nightfall, the Raid, the Crucible, or if you were like me, you bought the fucking thing, you didn't realize how goddamn great it was until you used it on AT on the very first time. That was an impactful feeling. Not fucking enhancement cores. Ranking up is part of the game. It's part of what any game does. Telling us that cores would make an impactful feeling of progression is just an empty statement of bullshit. One of the problems that we have when it comes to video games is how developers want us to play their game. They have this vision that they want their gameplay to be stretched out over long periods of time in order for us to keep coming back to the hamster wheel. As long as I dangle this carrot in front of you, these motherfuckers are going to continue to keep coming back. As long as these enhancement cores prevent you from ranking up, people are going to continue to play for their enhancement cores. Now, during the same update, Bungie also referred to they're going to change some bounties. Now it's going to go to the gunsmith as opposed to some of the scrapper bounties. I'll tell you right now, trading one problem for another is not going to fix this. The problem itself is the enhancement cores. The game that you produce obviously has a vision, but the players who play it are the ones that tell you what they want in the game, and overwhelmingly the players do not want enhancement cores as part of the rank up system. This is not an unreasonable request. This is not saying I want to have access to all the raids no matter what light level I am. This is not saying that power shouldn't matter in Iron Banner. This is not saying that every time I do an activity an exotic should drop. This is not something that is being asked for unreasonably. This is basically players telling Bungie there is no reason to have enhancement cores. The reality is there is very little reason to masterwork your weapons at this point because you're essentially wasting so much material to masterwork a certain weapon. Me personally, I have not masterworked a weapon that I knew I would rarely use. The only weapons that I have masterworked from day one are guns that I know that I will absolutely use every single time. For example, my Bygones. My Bygones is an absolute laser beam. I masterworked that shit. That is one of the few guns since Forsaken launch that I have masterworked. Prior to Forsaken, during Warmind, when masterwork cores were all the rage, I fucking masterworked everything. If it didn't drop masterwork, I made it masterwork. I made my Mananans. I made my Uriel's Gift. I made my Sins of the Past, my Nameless Midnight, Better Devils, you name it. I masterworked the fuck out of everything because you had a reason to do so. You wanted to try out other weapons. Now in this game, there is absolutely no reason to do so, simply because the material is more important to hold on to than to waste on your guns or your armor. Bungie doesn't get this. The fact that they can't answer the statement, what would happen if we removed enhancement cores, what impact would that have on the game, shows they honestly don't know. The very simple solution, remove enhancement cores from upgrading. Players don't like it, players don't want it. Not only that, it penalizes those who are trying to rank up, all because of this stupid fucking logic that they want us to keep coming back to the game. I can tell you right now, down the road, if this does not happen, players are going to revolt the same way they revolted against Anthem in order to get fixes to this game. So as always, rate, comment, subscribe, and all that good shit, and I'll see you guys in the next video.